A horse is the projection of people's dreams about themselves. Strong, powerful, beautiful, and has the capability of giving us escape from our mundane existence. The journey into horsemanship starts off tender and gentle, with the utmost love and admiration for the horse. While we are young, we may be obsessed with the idea of playing with model horses, dreaming of the day that we might be able to interact with the real thing. All we want is just to be within their presence, to stroke their soft coats, to look into their deeply kind and empathetic eyes, to bask in their calming essence. At first, merely being able to pet, talk to, and brush them is enough. We are delighted with the ability to share their space, to get to know their kind and gentle personalities. Riding them serves as a mere bonus. For us, it is the connection with the horse that our heart yearns for initially. The authentic and genuine love for the horse is what draws us to them in the beginning. We want nothing more than to be able to bond with and admire them, and the most accessible way to do this just so happens to be by enrolling in riding lessons, in the beginning at least. And so, the teaching begins. Most of us are immediately immersed in equestrian culture, with riding horses at the center of its importance. Lessons mainly focus on learning how to ride the horse, to pilot them around, and have them respond to our will. Little focus is placed on connection, bonding, and simply enjoying their presence. And slowly, our desire to focus on these important aspects of horsemanship begins to dwindle without our awareness. The simple joy of existing within the presence of horses, listening to them munch on their hay, begins to be replaced with ambitions related to riding. The desire to jump higher, to attend shows, to have nicer apparel or fancier tack, the push to fit in with the value system of other equestrians starts to override the love for horses that initially drew us to them in the first place. The focus on becoming a better rider starts to be of the utmost importance. After all, we are paying for riding lessons, and the focus is, well, riding the horse. We want to impress our trainers, to please them, and to do exactly as they say. When the horse doesn't cooperate with us, our understanding is replaced with frustration. They're being naughty. They're being bad. You must show them who's boss. Forgotten is the horse as an individual, and without our realization, the horse becomes our adversary. Any non-compliance on their part is taken as a personal affront, and we are taught to punish the horse accordingly. Surrounded by a culture of punishment, this seems normal, justified, the only way to solve unwanted behaviors. It's for safety, after all, we're told. Horses are big animals. You can't let them get away with dangerous behaviors. They could hurt someone. But we never are told why such dangerous behaviors might exist, what the horse may be trying to communicate. Instead, we're taught to view unwanted behavior as a deliberate act of defiance on the part of the horse. Yes, that same horse that will proudly enthuse about how much he loves his job is now the one that is actively trying to get out of work just to be naughty. And yet, we don't notice the disconnect between these two statements, because we're taught that this is normal. Enabled by those around us with the same beliefs, those experts that have taught us everything, we are now engaging in things that we wouldn't have dreamed to do to horses in the beginning of our journey as riders, because we would have feared how it could have potentially hurt them. The echo chamber that is created by these belief systems being passed down from rider to rider makes it much easier to be comfortable selecting harsher equipment, punishing more regularly, and doing whatever is needed to progress at a faster and more seamless rate, even if it comes at the expense of the horse. The key is just denying how it damages the horse, or simply not being aware of the fact that it even does. When you're surrounded by horses who are showing stress behavior but constantly told that they're just being naughty by those you trust as experts, it becomes impossible to see their behavior for what it is. A stressed horse looks normal. The open, gaping mouths that you see in horses ridden in harsh bits become normal. You don't even bat an eye at the sight. It's just another day at the barn. Those strained, wide eyes with the whites showing are the normal face of a focused horse, you think. It couldn't be stress if every horse you're around exhibits the same behaviors, right? After all, we've been primed to ignore these behaviors for longer than we've realized. The statues of horses we see around the world, artwork, and even the carousel horses we grew up riding display all these expressions. So why wouldn't it be normal horse behavior? That's easier to accept than the idea that horse stress is so prevalent that it is not fully seen, even by lifelong horse people, even by horse lovers. And so we internalize any doubts that we may have, and we choose to trust the experts in our life that have been training horses for years, decades even, and continue to go about our business. The desire to move up the levels of competition has replaced the desire to connect with and bond with the horse in the way that we wanted to when we first got into horses. The ride has become the focal point of our existence with horses. We go to the barn specifically to ride, and when we're unable to ride, it is deeply uncomfortable and sad for us. If our horse is hurt or no longer able to perform at the level we wish to reach, they become replaceable. The bond with the horse no longer holds the value that achieving goals in the show ring does, and we don't even notice this happening. It snuck up on us. The love for the horse is still there, but it has become misplaced. We confuse our love of riding with love for the horse, failing to connect with how our displays of love may actually feel to the horse. A harsher bit, a smack with the whip when the horse refuses, all viewed as necessary means of avoiding dangerous behavior. An act of love to make the horse a sensible citizen, we think. But to the horse, it is not so. We give them a cozy stall with fresh bedding, and we think that we're doing them a kindness, but we fail to notice the boarded up walls isolating them access to other horses, the small space that they live in for the majority of their day, with little room to lay down, much less run and play. We believe we are providing them with the utmost care, but we have gravely missed out on what the true needs of the horse actually are. We want to keep them clean and injury-free, and in our efforts to do so, we may injure them emotionally and mentally with our desires to keep them safe. The risk of injury in turnout is unfathomable, yet we will happily risk injury to have horses perform for us in competition, viewing sport-related injuries as an unfortunate, unavoidable byproduct of athleticism rather than something we enable and contribute to. We miss out on the hypocrisy that exists in avoiding offering our social herd animals the ability to socialize and move around autonomously due to the risk of harm, when we willingly risk similar harm when it comes to our ability to use them to achieve our personal goals. Tight nosebands, flashes cranked to hide gaping mouths, draw reins to force a horse into a frame as early as possible, even when they don't have the muscular capacity to hold such a position. We justify practices like this in the name of training. It's the way things have to be, we think, disconnected from the discomfort that these things cause due to us not being the ones to feel it. We fool ourselves into the belief that they are harmless. The acceptance of the harm that we may accidentally cause is something that is oftentimes too painful to admit, so denial is the chosen alternative path. It allows us to continue in the comfort of chasing personal goals, even if it may come at the expense of our horse, because we simply deny the existence of potential harm being caused. It makes us feel emotionally safer, but it robs our horses of an emotionally safe environment. The more research that comes out to expose potential issues in the horse industry, the more this denial is doubled down on. We use the prestige of upper-level riders as a means of measuring their ethicality, as if success and ethics go hand in hand, despite the evidence suggesting that they don't. We respond with vitriol and condescension to those who dare question the status quo, asking them what level they have competed to, as if the lack of a competition record somehow makes them unable to question ethics. We protect our idols with the insistence that their love for their horses makes them infallible when it comes to welfare, that good intentions guarantee good treatment, even when so many of us have been so woefully misled regarding what good treatment of horses actually is, from day one of our riding careers. We deny because acknowledging the problems in the industry potentially means dismantling it as we know it, completely reforming and changing the structure of something that has helped to build our identity. We respond with anger and fear because the idea of such change feels almost unbearable. But deep down, we must know there's a better way. We must know that something is amiss, for if we didn't, we wouldn't respond with such a visceral defense. We wouldn't be so impacted by people questioning the ethics of what we do. We have been misled. We have participated in harm without intention due to what we have been taught. But now we have the chance to modernize. We have the chance to reflect on the practices that are currently being called to question in scientific research on equine welfare. We have the chance to openly discuss potential solutions and to see what we can improve on. We have the chance to participate in harm reduction by bettering the lives of the horses where we can, even if it is not perfect. We have the chance to continue being open to educating ourselves so that we can become the best horse people we can be. We can learn to appreciate the things that we've taken for granted that horses do for us, such as their willingness to load in a small dark box that is a horse trailer and be taken to a busy show venue to be around lots of other horses who may or may not be stressed. This is a big ask that we ask of horses fairly repeatedly, and we often take it for granted, not realizing just how difficult this might be for a flight animal to accomplish. Simply understanding what they do for us and the mental and physical toll it could take on them can open us up to being more empathetic towards their struggles. We can take the initiative to encourage competitive show organizations to make needed changes to their rules to promote better welfare. We can promote the idea of using evidence-based practices as a means of quantifying horse welfare in competition, rather than leaving it up to opinion and individual perception. We can hold equestrians who cause harm to their horses accountable. Yes, even if they're upper-level riders. Yes, even if they're Olympians. While we can be open to the idea that everyone makes mistakes and that there's always room for improvement, we can still hold people accountable for the mistakes that they are currently making, especially if they aren't seriously looking at means of fixing said mistakes or even aware of the fact that they are mistakes in the first place. And we can continue to help the horse world modernize and change for the better by correcting misinformation and being open to the idea that we may have been taught some things incorrectly. As more information comes out, we have the capacity to learn and change and do better as we know how to do better. The amount of misinformation that we have received is largely not our fault. There is very little required of riding instructors when it comes to credentials to train. There is no standardized certification required, no proven knowledge of horse behavior and welfare. And this can lead to people posing as experts, believing they are so, and then passing down that misinformation to their students. They can do so with the utmost good intentions. It doesn't make them bad humans. They are merely victims of the same misinformation that so many of us horse people are. I have done wrong to horses. I have caused harm. I have hit horses, punished them for their fear, stress, and pain behaviors. I have kept them isolated from friends and in living situations that neglect basic needs. At no point did I do this to be cruel. I did it because it was what I was taught to do, and before I knew better, I couldn't do better. The idea of doing things differently didn't cross my mind for a very long time due to everyone around me doing things the same way. When met with conflicting information, I first went on the defense. I was angry, and I looked for anything to support my current belief system. But the information that I didn't want to hear did plant seeds of doubt in my brain that eventually germinated into forests of new knowledge that allowed me to do better by my horses and massively changed the way that I approached horse training and horse care. Over the years, I've really changed my training and care practices, and I use way more positive reinforcement than what I would have ever used in the past. I used to mock positive reinforcement and the use of food and horse training because all of my previous instructors had taught me that feeding horses treats would make them bite. But I found that it's made my horses love their jobs, be so much more invested in hanging out with people, and made them easier to deal with overall. In addition to doing this, I've also welcomed 24/7 group turnout. Once again, something that I used to not really believe in due to the fear of injury of my horses, and also chronically being in boarding barns where individual paddock turnout was the normal. I've seen the bonds that my horses build with one another in the herd and how much they enjoy being out with other friends. And I've also watched how it has massively improved the behavior of so many horses that I've gotten from situations where they've been isolated in stalls and lacked the ability to be turned out. And I've watched their personalities blossom as a result. It's such a positive and meaningful change. And it was something that I truly needed to see to fully believe. And now that I've seen it, I can't go back. Now I hope to inspire the horse industry to make needed changes by sharing my story. We can do better now that the information to help us know better is becoming more and more accessible as we learn more about horses and study their behavior more. So let's better the lives of horses worldwide by accepting the reality that many of the behavioral and care practices that we have been taught are normal for horses are not actually normal. They might be common, but they aren't normal or healthy for horses. A lot of the behaviors we've been taught that horses exhibit as normal behaviors are actually abnormal stress behaviors. In making these needed changes, we can make the industry safer and more enjoyable for horses and riders alike. Happier horses are less dangerous, and riders who can accurately interpret horse behavior can avoid dangerous situations by helping their horse self-regulate before they become so afraid and stressed that they react dangerously. We can also motivate horses to enjoy their jobs and find their work more fulfilling by offering them a rewards-based system in training, even if just occasionally, to help them be motivated and enjoy their work rather than just using aversive pressure and punishers to get the job done. Thanks to the growing body of evidence on the science of horse training and horse care, we have better ideas of the best way to provide horses' needs and also the most ethical and effective means of training them to do the tasks that we ask of them. There is a better way, and now that we know better, we can start to do better, and we can discuss realistic solutions to help improve some of the concerning welfare issues that we are seeing in the horse world today. Let's do better. There's a better way of doing things, and we can improve with the times to do best by the animals that we love.
Milo.